I got free limbs. I'll be down there in a minute.
Okay. All right, we are now on the YouTube. I don't, okay, very. All right. All right, we are back on the record in the matter of the state versus Efren Lozado Robles. Mr. Robles is represented by Mr. Benavidez. We have our interpreter, Ms. Daisha Bermudez, on this call, as well as Ms. Cheryl Freeman from the DA's office. And we have Officer Bradford, who is here but not seen.
Judge, I'm trying to figure out why my camera's not working.
Okay. Now, if you would go to the very bottom of the screen, it looks like a television screen. If you go to the very bottom, there's a button. One says mute with the microphone. The other one has a camera. It could be that your camera is off. Click on the, even if you click on, it says stop video, that should start you.
I got it now.
There he is.
Very good, very good. All right, let me swear you in, Bradford. Raise your right hand. You swear or affirm the information you give, any testimony you provide in the matter of the state versus Efren Lozado Robles is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so you God.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's give some time for Ms. Bermudez to translate.
Usted jura y afirma que la información que usted va a dar en el caso de Efren Lozado Robles va a ser la verdad, toda la verdad y nada más que la verdad, lo jura ante Dios. Sí, señora.
Okay, Ms. Freeman.
Thank you, Your Honor. Deputy Bradford, tell us your name and how you're employed.
Kyle Bradford, Clayton County Sheriff's Office, Cobra Unit.
How long have you been with the Clayton County Sheriff's Office?
Since September of last year.
Okay, let Ms. Bermudez translate.
Judge, I guess if we can establish the rules from the start so we don't get all confused.
Yeah. If you could exactly, if you could just give some time and pause, maybe after every other sentence, so Ms. Bermudez can translate to Mr. Robles.
Thank you, Honor. I'll start over.
Thank you.
Deputy Bradford, would you please tell us your name and how you are employed?
Agente Bradford, díganos su nombre y para quién trabaja.
Kyle Bradford, Clayton County Sheriff's Office.
Kyle Bradford.
How long?
Para la comisaría del condado de Clayton.
How long have you been with the Clayton County Sheriff's Department?
¿Por cuánto tiempo ha trabajado para la comisaría del condado de Clayton?
September of last year, September 2019.
Septiembre del año pasado, septiembre del 2019.
Were you working with the Clayton County Sheriff's Office on March 2nd, 2020?
¿Estaba usted trabajando para la comisaría del condado de Clayton el día 2 de marzo del 2020?
Yes, ma'am.
Sí, señora.
On that particular day, were you conducting property checks in the area of 1951 Southampton Road?
En ese día en particular, ¿estaba usted haciendo una revisión de la propiedad de la 1951 Campton Road?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
Sí, señora, sí lo estuve.
Why were you conducting property?
¿Por qué estaba usted haciendo la revisión de esa propiedad?
Over the last days and months in that area, we've had a lot of stolen vehicles that have been dumped in those apartments on Godby Road. Also, vehicles being taken when people were getting ready for work and starting them, getting taken in the mornings.
Durante días y meses había ocurrido en esa propiedad o en esa área el hecho de que muchas personas estaban depositando o deshaciéndose de vehículos en esa área y que también se estaban metiendo a dichos vehículos.
On this particular day, Deputy, did you come into contact with a Lozada Efren?
En ese día en particular, agente, ¿se puso usted en contacto con Efren Lozada?
Yes, ma'am. I was in the back of the complex, and I observed a silver and color Dodge truck that was backed in next to a dumpster.
Sí, señora. En la parte de atrás del complejo, yo vi una camioneta plateada. Officer, can you repeat, in the back of the complex, the interpreter lost the last part.
Okay, in the back of the complex, I observed a silver and colored Dodge truck that was backed in next to a dumpster in the back of the complex.
Okay. Había una camioneta Dodge plateada, la cual estaba en la parte de atrás de un basurero grande.
At which time I sat there and observed the truck to have two Hispanic males in the truck. They exited the truck. There was a ladder on the ground next to the dumpster that they picked up and loaded on the truck and began to secure the ladder. After that,
one second.
Y en ese momento yo vi dos hombres hispanos que estaban dentro de la camioneta y que tenían una escalera, la cual recogieron y metieron en la parte de atrás de la camioneta. Can you proceed, officer?
Yeah, so after that, they got back in the truck and sat there for approximately 5 minutes.
Y después de esto, ellos entraron de nuevo a la camioneta y se quedaron ahí por más o menos unos 5 minutos.
At which time, once they didn't leave and didn't appear to be doing any type of work, I went over to make contact with them to figure out what they were doing.
Y por el hecho de que ellos no se marcharon y que no parecían que estaban haciendo nada, yo me les acerqué para ver qué era lo que estaban haciendo.
I got out of my vehicle, went over to the driver's side. I asked the male if he spoke English. He advised me not very much.
Yo me salí del vehículo y fui al lado del pasajero y le pregunté qué estaban haciendo. Él me dijo que no mucho.
I asked him for ID because he was in the driver's seat to identify himself, and he gave me a Mexico ID card. He didn't have a driver's license.
Y yo le pedí la identificación al chofer y me dio una identificación mexicana o una licencia de conducir.
I saw that his name was Lozado Efren, 7/18/1988. I tried to figure out what he was doing there. Asked him what he was doing there.
Y yo vi que su nombre era Efraín Lozada, del 7/18 de 1988. 1988, officer.
I asked Mr. Efren to step out of the vehicle so I could speak with him. When he got out of the car is when I observed him, a white powdery substance inside of a bag come out of his hand and fall into the floorboard of the truck.
Yo le pedí al señor Efraín que se saliera del vehículo y cuando él se salió yo vi que él tenía una sustancia que se veía como polvo, la cual se le cayó dentro del vehículo.
At which time I went ahead and detained Mr. Efren, recovered the bag, which due to my training, knowledge, and experience, I believe to be powder cocaine, the white powdery substance.
Y en ese momento yo detuve al señor Efraín y que según mi experiencia, el polvo blanco era cocaína.
I placed Mr. Efren in the car, went ahead, we started a record for the vehicle because the other occupant did not have an ID or license and nobody could prove who actually owned the vehicle.
Y en ese momento yo puse el señor Efraín en la parte de atrás del vehículo porque el otro ocupante no tenía identificación y no se podía probar de a quién le pertenecía el vehículo.
We had a vehicle transport Mr. Efren to the jail, at which time when they searched his personal property, another bag of white powder substance was found inside of his wallet, along with a dollar bill that contained white powdery substance believed to be powder cocaine.
Y en ese momento transportamos al señor Efraín a la cárcel y cuando lo registraron, le encontraron otra bolsa con un polvo blanco y también encontraron este polvo blanco en un billete, el cual se determinó que era cocaína.
I did field test the substances and they did field test positive for cocaine.
Y yo le hice la prueba a la sustancia y sí se determinó que era cocaína.
Deputy Bradford, what type of property was this?
It was some apartments. 1951 Southampton is apartments, ma'am.
Ms. Cheryl,
Yes.
can you repeat the question for the interpreter and allow the interpreter to?
I'm sorry, I cut you off.
It's
Okay.
okay.
Yes. My question was, what type of property was at this location?
Mi pregunta fue que qué tipo de propiedad era la que estaba en este lugar, o la que había en este lugar.
The 1951 Southampton is apartments.
La 1951 Hampton es un complejo de apartamentos.
Just to clarify, Deputy, when Mr. Efren got out of the car,
Solamente para aclarar a gente, cuando el señor Efren se salió del vehículo,
where did he throw the bag of white powder?
¿dónde tiró él la bolsa con el polvo blanco?
Into the driver's floorboards, right by his feet.
The interpreter couldn't hear that, officer. Can you repeat that?
Into the driver's floorboard, right by his feet.
En la parte del suelo del chofer, por donde él tenía los pies.
Deputy, you also stated that you saw the occupants of the vehicle sit there for a time at the dumpster.
Agente, usted también dijo que usted vio los ocupantes del vehículo sentado ahí cerca del basurero.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
I was in an unmarked vehicle. I was in a unmarked sheriff's office vehicle. So I sat there and watched them for between 5 and 7 minutes. They were in the truck, got out of the truck by the dumpster, then got back in the truck and continued to sit there. And that's when I went to make contact with them.
Sí, señora, yo estaba en un vehículo que no era un vehículo marcado oficial y yo sí los vi sentado ahí por unos 5 a 7 minutos y lo vi salirse del vehículo y volver a entrar al vehículo.
When you retrieved Mr. Efren's ID from Mexico, did it have the address of this apartment complex listed on it?
Cuando usted obtuvo la identificación mexicana del señor Efren, ¿tenía la dirección o contenía la dirección de estos apartamentos?
To my knowledge, it was not that apartment complex. I believe they told me that they lived right down the road.
Hasta donde yo sé, no era de esos apartamentos. Lo que yo recuerdo es que dijeron que ellos vivían en otro apartamento que estaban cerca.
Did all of this take place in Clayton County?
¿Y todo esto ocurrió en el condado de Clayton?
Yes, ma'am.
Sí, señora.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Muchas gracias y no tengo más preguntas.
All right, cross-exam, Attorney Benavidez.
Contrainterrogatorio, abogado Benavides. Judge, the interpreter cannot hear Attorney Benavides.
Attorney Benavides?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know what happened. I apologize sincerely. So good afternoon, officer. My name is Javier Benavides. I'm representing Mr. Lopez Robles. His name is Efren. His first name.
Buenas tardes, agente. Mi nombre es Javier Benavides y yo represento al señor López Robles.
I just have a few questions for you, officer. Can you please tell us, tell the court, what time did this arrest take place?
Yo solamente tengo algunas preguntas para usted, agente. ¿Le podría usted decir a la corte a qué hora estos arrestos ocurrieron?
I originally got out with them at approximately 08:53 in the morning.
08:53. Originalmente yo salí a las 8:53, a las 08:53 de la mañana.
Okay. Can you please tell us, it was daylight or it was dark? Can you please describe the weather? I mean,
Por favor, ¿nos podría decir si estaba claro, si estaba oscuro, cómo estaba el tiempo, el estado del tiempo?
It was daylight and it was cloudy out.
Fue durante el día y estaba nublado.
okay. So can you tell us how much experience do you have working as a police officer?
¿Nos podría usted decir qué tanta experiencia tiene usted trabajando como un agente policial?
I've got 5 years in the Army and 3 years in the civilian world, so almost 8 years.
But I'm sorry, officer, the interpreter didn't hear the whole sentence. 5 years in the Army.
Yeah, and 3 years in the civilian world, almost 8 years.
Thank you. Yo tengo 5 años en las Fuerzas Armadas y 3 años como civil, o sea que son 8 años.
Okay, can you please be a little bit more descriptive where, as far as your civil experience?
¿Podría usted abundar un poco más en su experiencia civil?
I'm sorry, I apologize. He said his civil experience?
I think he meant civilian
¿Experiencia
experience.
civil?
Okay, well, let's rephrase the question. Officer, would you mind telling us your experience as far as civilian experience, as you name it? Can you please be a little bit more descriptive?
Agente, ¿no podría usted describir un poquito mejor su experiencia?
Ms. Freeman, I think I understand. So Bradford said he's got 5 years in the military as a law enforcement officer, and then he said he has 3 years in his experience as civilian law enforcement officer. And I think what Attorney Benavides is asking is what those 3 years of civilian law enforcement officer, what does that comprise?
O sea, agente, yo creo que lo que señora Freeman, yo creo que lo que el agente quiso explicar es que él tiene 5 años en las Fuerzas Armadas, trabajando como militar en las Fuerzas Armadas, y que tiene 3 años trabajando como militar, pero en lo que son las leyes, o sea, como un agente en las leyes, pero ya en asuntos civiles.
Okay, so I've got 2 years with the city of Griffin and then almost a year with the Clayton County Sheriff's Office.
O sea que yo tengo 2 años con la ciudad de Griffin y 1 año con el condado de Clayton.
So, in your personal opinion, then, you consider yourself an experienced officer handling this type of situations?
Su experiencia personal, ¿Usted se considera un agente experimentado para lidiar con este tipo de situaciones?
You're going to have to re-ask that. I'm not even sure what you just asked me.
Usted tendría que preguntarme esto de otra forma porque yo no estoy seguro de qué es lo que me está preguntando.
What I'm asking you is, to the best of your knowledge, would you consider yourself experienced dealing with the particular charge of lawyering and prowling?
Lo que yo le estoy preguntando es que si usted se considera ser experimentado para lidiar con el cargo de merodear.
Yes, sir.
Sí, señor.
Okay, so now when you, before you arrest or before you got in contact with my client, you described the vehicle parked on the side of or by the dumpster, a Dodge Silver vehicle. Can you please explain to us what you found unusual as far as their conduct? What was unusual?
Usted primero dijo que cuando usted tuvo primero contacto con mi cliente, usted dijo que lo vio estacionado en un Dodge plateado que estaba cerca del basurero. ¿Me podría usted decir qué es lo que usted encontró poco usual o inusual?
What was unusual about the fact that there was two males sitting in a parked truck next to a dumpster in a location where multiple vehicles have been stolen and broken into is also a high drug area at 8:53 in the morning. And they sat in the truck.
I'm sorry, officer.
You need me to start over?
Yes, and if you can cut or pause a little bit for the interpreter, please.
Okay. Unusual that at 8:53 in the morning, there's two males parked in a vehicle next to a dumpster.
Lo que me pareció poco usual es que a las 8:53 de la mañana hubieran dos hombres estacionados dentro de un vehículo cerca de un basurero. Go ahead, officer.
In an area where there's multiple stolen vehicles dumped, multiple vehicles being taken on the daily, also a high drug area.
En una área donde habían muchos vehículos que habían sido abandonados o habían sido tomados, y también es una área de mucha actividad de drogas.
I watched the males and they didn't appear to be doing any type of work, didn't have any tools out, weren't working on anything at the dumpster.
Yo observé a los hombres y ellos no parecían haber estado haciendo nada, no tenían herramientas o haber estado haciendo algo con el basurero.
And even once making contact with them, they couldn't prove to me that they were performing any type of work.
Y hasta cuando yo me puse en contacto con ellos no me pudieron probar que ellos habían estado haciendo algún tipo de trabajo.
Well, let me ask you, you mentioned that neither one of the two occupants in the vehicle spoke English. So how were you able to communicate with them?
Déjeme preguntarle algo. Usted dijo que ninguno de los ocupantes del vehículo podían hablar inglés. O sea, que ¿cómo pudo usted comunicarse con ellos?
Because Mr. Efron speaks more English than he's making it out to be. He was able to speak enough English to tell me what he was doing there was picking up the ladder.
Porque el señor Efren habla más inglés de lo que él quiere aparentar y él me dijo lo que estaba haciendo ahí con la escalera.
Okay, so if Mr. Efren explained to you what he was doing, wasn't a reasonable explanation what he was doing with the ladder? Or, I mean...
O sea que si el señor Efren le dijo lo que él estaba haciendo, ¿no fue una explicación razonable lo que él le dijo que él estaba haciendo con la escalera?
Mr. Benavides is how you say it. I sat there and watched them after loading the ladder. They did not leave and did not appear to be going anywhere.
El
Even
señor,
after 5 minutes after they loaded the ladder, that's why I got out and made contact with them.
el señor Benavide, officer,
Yes, ma'am. You need me to tell you again?
yes,
That even after loading the ladder on the truck, the males did not leave the location. We're not working on anything, and we're still just sitting in a truck that was not parked in a parking spot. It was parked next to a dumpster in the grass.
O sea que hasta después de haber cargado la escalera, ellos no estaban haciendo nada. Ellos solamente se quedaron ahí estacionados cerca del basurero.
Oh, let me ask you, and I think this is a fair question, officer. If the two occupants in the vehicle would have been white males, do you think that it would have been reasonable for you to engage them or speak?
I'm going to object to that question. There has been no testimony to come out that would give any kind of indication that anyone's race, gender, ethnicity had anything to do with the reason for this encounter. Deputy Bradford has stated that that he sat there and watched the individuals when they got the ladder, that they did not move. There was no indication that there was any work or that they resided there. And so I would object to this question.
Attorney Benavides, what's your response to that objection?
Your Honor, I mean, it's clear that Officer Bradford, I mean, he made he considered that they were acting suspicious. So, I mean, there's a good chance that he profiled the two males, the two people. I mean, if he would have considered that the two people inside the vehicle were nothing but law-abiding citizens, he would have never engaged the two people. So, unfortunately, as he's stating himself, that is a high crime area. And unfortunately, you know, Hispanics and Black males, unfortunately, statistically speaking, in this country, are more prone or target to commit crimes.
That has not been part of this testimony regarding Hispanic males or African-American males. Deputy Bradford has stated that it was a high crime area. He said that they had had reports of cars being stolen, being dumped there. There still has not been any indication that, again, that race, ethnicity, or anything took part in this encounter. And again, I'm objecting to this question.
Just if I may, Your Honor, I mean, I think it's a fair question, and I think that, you know, Officer Bradford is absolutely entitled to answer the question. I mean, I think that I don't think it'll hurt the court to hear his answer and his demeanor, of course.
I'm going to say this, Ms. Freeman, that question calls for speculation, which would be the legal basis to object. And based on the fact that it calls for Officer Bradford to speculate as to whether or not his decision would have been different based on the race or the ethnicity of the party, that is something that I'm not going to allow. So the objection, I sustain your objection, Ms. Freeman, but I sustain it a little bit more on the fact that it calls for Officer Bradford to speculate as to what.
Understood, Your Honor. Thank you.
So I'm going to sustain your objection. And Attorney Benavides, while I understand the basis of the question, I don't think that we've heard anything that indicates that is what Officer Bradford would have done had this been two white males. I'll let you continue with
Yes, Your Honor.
examination.
Yes, Your Honor. When you encounter, you already mentioned, but I just want to be a little bit more detailed. So when you encounter the two males, you said that you did give them an opportunity to explain themselves, right? And you're basically telling us that Mr. Efren speaks more English than he's telling us he does.
Yo sé que usted explicó esto anteriormente, pero cuando usted se puso en contacto con los dos hombres, usted básicamente le dio la oportunidad a ellos de que explicaran y usted dijo que Efren habla más inglés de lo que él aparenta hablar.
So the question is, did you think that his explanation of what he was doing it was credible?
O sea que la pregunta es, ¿usted cree que la explicación de lo que ellos estaban haciendo era algo que era creíble?
Do I think that the explanation was critical? Like I said, I got out with the vehicle because it was suspicious. I don't know whose ladder that is. Therefore, they could have been stealing the ladder because the ladder was on the ground.
Que si la explicación que me dieron era creíble, una vez más yo salí del vehículo porque me parecieron sospechosos y la escalera, yo no sé a quién le pertenece esta escalera.
Okay. So when Mr. Efren got out of the car, did you gain physical contact with him or not?
O sea que cuando el señor Efren salió del vehículo, ¿usted tuvo contacto físico con él o no?
Yeah, as soon as your client threw the cocaine in the floor, I immediately put him in handcuffs.
Inmediatamente su cliente tiró la cocaína en el piso, yo le puse las esposas.
Okay. Did you slam my client up against the vehicle or just put the handcuffs on?
¿Tiró usted fuertemente mi cliente en contra del vehículo o solamente les puso las esposas?
I just put the handcuffs on. I did not slam anyone. The client did not resist. He was placed in handcuffs and then stood there until we got a patrol car to transport him.
Yo no tiré fuertemente a nadie. Yo solamente les puse las esposas porque él no se resistió al arresto y nos esperamos ahí hasta que viniera otra patrulla.
Were you wearing the camera, your service camera at the time of the arrest?
¿Tenía usted en su persona la cámara de servicio en el momento del arresto?
We do not wear cameras at the sheriff's office. Deputy Arnold was on the scene as well, though.
Nosotros no usamos cámaras en la comisaría. El agente Ern estaba ahí.
Okay, nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay, nada más, su señoría.
Ms. Freeman, do you have a redirect?
No further questions.
Sí,
Okay.
señorita Freeman, ¿tiene usted un contrainterrogatorio? No tengo
Do you
más.
have any other witnesses, Ms. Freeman?
No other witnesses. The state rests.
Okay.
No tengo más testigos. La fiscalía.
Mr. Benavides, do you have any witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
Señor Benavides, ¿tiene usted algún testigo? No, su señoría.
This argument, all right, argument.
The state waives opening.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay, this will be your time to argue. You're either going to argue or you're going to submit on the evidence.
Well, I mean, the defense considers that it's clear that our position, Mr. Efren, we have an affidavit signed by the property of the owner of the property.
I'm going to object that Mr. Benavides is talking about something that has not been testified to. And so I'm going to object to any reference of any affidavit or anything like that being argued at this point.
So Attorney Benavides, if you have an affidavit, sir, if you have an affidavit or have something to submit, then the proper procedure would be to follow the particular evidence, to lay the foundation, to submit something into evidence. You can't just begin to read something that has not been properly submitted into evidence.
I understand that, Your Honor. However, unfortunately, we just got that 30 minutes ago. I actually spoke with counsel, and I actually brought to her attention that that document has been produced. So we're going to file it as soon as possible. I think it's absolutely fair that, counsel indicates that, we cannot mention a document that has not been yet filed. I understand that, and I apologize.
No, that's okay. Thank you though, counsel. You're advocating for your client. So
Yes.
and I would ask you to continue your closing argument.
Yes, Your Honor. So basically our position is that an officer is entitled to engage a citizen when the person is in at a place and time that or in acting in a manner that is not usual to a law-abiding citizen, right? So bottom line for me is that Mr. Efren wasn't doing anything. He was just minding his own business when Officer Bradford doing his work, which we appreciate, saw him and, well, I'm going to give the translator time to translate. I'm sorry.
It's Ms. Bermudez. I think he's allowing you to translate.
Well, Your Honor, when we do this type of hearings using this system, simultaneous interpretation is impossible. Just because we don't have the equipment to do it, the only way that can be done, that a closing argument can be done, is basically sentence by sentence. Otherwise, it's impossible for an interpreter to retain everything that any counsel can say at any given time when it comes to closing.
It's difficult. It is difficult. Attorney Benavidez, be mindful that the interpreter has to what you're saying. And so, and I know sometimes we speak based on, how you present your case and you're presenting, but just, give her some time so that your client can understand the brilliance of your legal argument. So she can interpret that and translate that for you.
So Judge,
so
I don't
we're
know.
going to try to, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I'm just getting something on my, okay, it went away now. I didn't have you on my screen, counsel. So probably the most effective way to do it will be here we go. Okay, it will be, I'm having some technical difficulties here, Judge. Okay, now I see him. The most effective way to do it will be, as difficult as it is probably sentence by sentence, so your client can hear everything that you're saying, counselor.
Yes, absolutely. I will try my best.
Thank you.
Okay, so my main point is that the crime has a few elements.
Lo principal es que este delito tiene varios elementos.
The first one is that the subject of needs to be doing, it needs to be basically doing something at a odd place and odd time, and or in a manner that is not usual.
O sea que básicamente el sujeto tiene que estar haciendo algo en un tiempo raro o en un momento raro o en una forma que sea poco usual.
Correct. So in this case, so that's the law. In this case, my client was at work at 8:30 a.m. in the morning.
O sea que esa es la ley. O sea que en este caso, mi cliente estaba trabajando a las 8:30 de la mañana.
It was daylight. It was a cloudy day.
Pues,
Other than that, nothing out of the ordinary.
o sea que fue durante el día estaba nublado, pero que no había nada fuera de lo común.
Okay, so let's talk about the manner that is not usual. I don't see anything abnormal on two males sitting in a car, minding their own business.
O sea que cuando él habla de algo poco usual, yo no veo nada de raro en que dos hombres estuvieran dentro de un vehículo cerca de un basurero,
If
haciendo
anything,
básicamente lo que quisieran hacer.
if anything, okay, when, and we're going to apply the custom law, right? When somebody places a object by the dumpster, it's considered abandoned here in the United States of America.
O sea que vamos a aplicar lo que son las costumbres. O sea que cuando alguien pone algo, un objeto cerca de un basurero y lo abandona, se considera abandono, o sea, abandonado aquí en los Estados Unidos de América.
Therefore, even if he loaded that ladder, which was sitting by a dumpster,
O sea que hasta si él cargó esta escalera, la cual estaba al lado de un basurero,
we can conclude that he wasn't stealing, he was just taking something that has been abandoned.
nosotros podríamos concluir de que él no se le estaba robando, sino que él solamente se estaba llevando algo que había sido abandonado.
The other, an officer is required to engage the suspect, ask questions so the person can explain himself. Otherwise, this law would basically allow police officers to do anything because anyone would fit within that category.
O sea que lo que la ley permite es que los agentes se les acerquen a las personas y puedan entablar una conversación para que ellos se puedan explicar, porque de lo contrario se le permitiría a los agentes que hiciera lo que les plazca, o sea, lo que le parezca.
So the law contemplates, and that's why I was asking Officer Bradford if he's familiar with the law.
Lo que la ley contempla, y esa es la razón por la que le estaba preguntando al agente Bradford si él tenía conocimiento de la ley,
that he will be able to engage the person, okay, without questioning if the person takes flight, refuses to identify himself, or conceals anything. That's what the law says, right?
Que la ley dice que él puede entablar una comunicación con la persona, y si la persona, counselor, I lost the last part, the interpreter lost the last part.
Yes, okay. If the person takes flight,
Y si la persona se da la fuga,
refuses to identify himself,
o se niega a identificarse,
or conceals something.
o si esconde algo.
Exactly. In this case, according to Officer Bradford, and I pronunciate his last name the best to my ability.
Y en este caso, de acuerdo a la agente Bradford, y yo estoy pronunciando su nombre de lo mejor que puedo,
My client did not take flight.
mi cliente no huyó.
My client didn't refuse to identify himself,
Mi cliente no se negó a identificarse,
and he wasn't engaging in an activity that involves concealment.
y él no estaba haciendo ninguna actividad donde él estuviera escondiendo nada.
In abundance to my argument,
The interpreter didn't hear what you said.
let me add something to my argument.
Y para añadir algo a mi argumento,
Officer Bradford told us that he was doing property checks because there were vehicles that were being stolen.
el agente Bradford dijo que él estaba revisando estas propiedades porque habían vehículos que habían estado siendo robados.
So my question is, and this is a rhetorical question because it's no time for me to ask Officer Bradford.
Pero mi pregunta es, y eso es una pregunta retórica porque yo no tengo tiempo para hacerle esta pregunta al agente Bradford.
Mr. Bradford found my client by the dumpster. It wasn't by the vehicles, by the dumpster.
El agente Bradford encontró a mi cliente cerca del basurero. No era cerca de los vehículos, estaba cerca del basurero.
So in a dumpster, we put here in this country, we put things that we don't need, that we dispose of.
O sea que en este país nosotros ponemos en los basureros cosas que vamos a tirar o cosas que no vamos a necesitar.
That's all, Your Honor. Nothing further.
Eso es todo, su señoría. Nada más.
All right. Ms. Freeman?
Señorita
Thank
Freeman.
you.
Muchas
Your
gracias.
Honor, we believe
Su señoría, nosotros creemos
that the testimony provided by Deputy Bradford
que el testimonio que la agente Bradford dio
is sufficient
es suficiente
to bind the charges over to Superior Court.
para enviar los cargos al Tribunal Superior.
Deputy Bradford testified
El agente Bradford testificó
that he was patrolling the area
que él estaba patrullando el área
due to car thefts and break-ins of
Dado-
cars,
a que habían habido robos de vehículos
as well as it being a high crime area.
y que era una área donde había mucha delincuencia.
Deputy Bradford saw the defendant sitting in a Dodge truck
El agente Bradford vio al acusado sentado en una camioneta Dodge,
not appearing to be working or doing anything at that location.
donde no aparentaba que estaba trabajando, haciendo nada en ese lugar.
The deputy approached the vehicle.
El agente se le acercó al vehículo,
The defendant, when he asked him to step out of the car,
le pidió al acusado que saliera del vehículo,
he threw a bag of a white powdery substance onto the floorboard of the car.
y él tiró una bolsa en el piso del vehículo conteniendo un polvo blanco.
We believe that there is sufficient evidence
Nosotros pensamos que hay suficientes pruebas
to find that there was probable cause for the charges of loitering and prowling,
para enviar los cargos de merodear
and possession of cocaine.
y de posesión de cocaína.
Thank you. I have no further,
Muchas
no
gracias.
other argument.
No tengo más argumentos.
So what I will say is this,
O sea que lo que yo voy a decir es lo siguiente.
that officers are allowed, there's certain tiers of contact that officers are allowed to have with individuals.
Hay ciertas cosas que se le permite, cierto tipo de contacto que se le permiten a los agentes tener con los individuos.
And the first tier of contact does allow an officer
Y el primer tipo de contacto
to approach an individual
se le permite a un agente acercársele a un individuo
to determine what the individual's purpose is if they are in a high crime area.
cuál es el propósito de esos individuos si ellos están en una zona donde hay mucha delincuencia.
And the court finds that that encounter
Y la corte encuentra que ese encuentro
that Officer Bradford had with Mr. Lazada
que el agente Bradford con el señor Lazada,
was supported by this particular area that he was in,
es algo que apoyaba para el área donde él estaba.
and everything that would have happened after that encounter
Y todo lo que pudo haber ocurrido después de ese encuentro
satisfies this court
satisface a este tribunal
for the sufficiency of this information, this evidence, this hearing,
para que sea suficiente para esta información, para estas pruebas, para esta audiencia,
to find probable cause for both charges.
para encontrar suficiente motivo fundado para cada uno de estos cargos.
And so I bind this case up
O sea que yo voy a enviar estos cargos
to the Superior Court of Clayton County.
al Tribunal Superior del Condado de Clayton.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Deputy.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. All right, Attorney Benavidez, do you have any other questions or comments as to what the procedure would be from this point forward?
No, Your Honor, nothing further.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to go ahead and remove, I think we're done with the sheriff's office, correct?
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna remove them from the call. Attorney Benavides, thank you so much, sir. I'm removing you from the call as well.
Your Honor, before I go, I would like to have the information from Miss Freeman, so I can email her some evidence that we received.
In terms of bond,
Okay, are you,
No, I'm referring
you
to
want me
David
to,
was mentioning us a minute ago, and certain things that we just got, and also if she can send me the police report. We did not receive that yet.
well, we don't exchange discovery at this time, but what I am doing is, do you know how to access the chat?
Yeah, I know, but
Okay, I am,
Okay, got it.
I'm typing my email address in there now.
Sounds good.
So you can send me whatever information you have.
All right. Sounds good.
okay, thank you.
Your Honor.
Thank you so much.
Okay, you should have it. Do you see it before you leave the meeting? Do
I
you see it?
I do see it, Ms. Freeman. Thank you so much. Nice
Okay,
Thank you, Counselor.
thank you.
Nice
Thank you,
meeting all.
Counselor. Nice meeting you as well.
All righty.
Thank
All right,
you.
so I'm gonna stop. Thank you so much, Ms. Bermudez. I'm gonna
Welcome.
remove you from the meeting as well.
We'll see you soon.
See you soon. Thank you.
See you.
You be
Bye-bye.
safe, okay?
Thank you. You too.
Yes, ma'am. And I'm going to stop the YouTube channel because I think that's all we have for right now. We're going to stop the live.